Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm trying a new format for the videos. I've been going through a lot of stuff, a lot of internal stuff, and I just don't really feel like showing myself right now because of those changes. It's not like nothing's wrong, so don't worry, nothing's wrong. I just feel there's a lot of transformation happening, and there's some kind of shift within me that I'm dealing with. But just know that everything's okay. It's just a part of the process. But this video, I really wanted to go over a lot of the stuff happening in the skies. As you guys know, we have Jupiter retrograde right now. That happened on November 11th. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, it actually takes us more within ourselves. The expansion happens inside, not so much on the outside. And so, which would make sense as to why I just feel more of a need to go within and be more private about the energy I share, because it's in my 12th house. But for those of you that feel that shift, please put in the comments and express what you've been going through. With this Jupiter retrograde, do you notice a difference at all in the corresponding house that it's in if you know your chart? We also have Uranus retrograde in Taurus again. So thankfully, Cancer and Taurus, water and earth mix quite well. So there is this combination of sporadic change within, expansion within the soul in very unpredictable ways with this combo. And that will be for quite some time. They're both going to be retrograde until next year. I believe Uranus in Taurus, when it goes direct again, it'll be in April of 2026, and then Jupiter will station direct in Cancer on June 29th, 2026. So, and then it will start to move into Leo. Right now, we also have some other big energies. When is there not big energy? But the reason why this one is more prominent coming up is because it involves the darkest part of us. No matter where you have Scorpio in your chart, it is the darkness within you. It is the transformative power that you hold. So let's say that you're a Scorpio rising. The darkest part of you is exposed through your identity. Even if you try as hard as possible to try to, sorry, my alarm. Even though you might try your hardest to not show that, you can't hide that part. And some Scorpio risings, I have found they get annoyed by that because they want to be private. Majority of them like to have their privacy, but for some reason they can't, no matter how hard they try, somehow, their life kind of gets shown, and like the darker parts are shown publicly in some way. But okay, going back to just the sign of Scorpio, we have a new moon in Scorpio on the 19th and 20th. And that is starting a brand new transformative cycle. Because it is a new start moon in the 8th house ruler, This is something that is taking motion that involves the energy of Jupiter retrograde and Uranus retrograde. Like I was mentioning, the inner soul's sporadic expansion. And so there is a lot of reconstruction going on. There is a lot of reflection, introspection, rearranging of the memories, the pains, the bonds, the traumas that you hold. And Mercury is going to be moving into Scorpio at the end or the beginning of December. Because we have that Mercury retrograde from Sagittarius back into Scorpio. And so this is involving our beliefs on what we hold to be important to us. What do we keep hidden? The beliefs of what we keep hidden, and do they really mean as much as we think they do? What do we want to keep? What do we want to let go of? What is no longer bringing happiness or a feeling of spiritual like depth into our life? Perhaps we put labels on things that were spiritually deep, but not really. Maybe we gave it too much importance than it deserved. And that's kind of what this whole process is about. Mars is in Sagittarius. That's going to stay in Sagittarius until December 14th. And so this is bringing even more power and passion into this area. Into the area of transforming our beliefs. And what really holds true to us? What really does bring that expansive inner soul trigger to the surface? Venus in Scorpio is going to be until November 30th. And so that, well, the thing about Venus in Scorpio, I always kind of look at that combination as the dominatrix, right? And so, because you're combining the 8th house with the gentle side of Venus. And that is a dark feminine kind of vibe. So I would say that this is about us purging the inner dark feminine, the toxic qualities of her out, so that we can cleanse ourselves, become better people, be more self-aware. This is something I've been recognizing within myself. And even if you're a masculine, doesn't matter. You still have feminine in you. So what is your toxic feminine? What is your relationship to your mother? How was the dynamic? Was it a codependent relationship, or was it a chaotic, or maybe both? Was it evened out? Was it stable, right? And this is what births the feminine side. But regardless, it doesn't matter how stable you had it, there's always going to be an inkling of the dark feminine and the dark masculine in everybody, because we're human beings. But really, those that have been struggling with the core wounds within them, this is a time where they're purging things. And then when they're realizing, okay, I don't want to be that kind of a person anymore. So what can I do to make changes? Two dynamics at play where it's like the angel and the devil. And you can't get rid of one fully, but you can find the middle ground between the two. So that's where this cycle is taking place. It's going to be really kickstarting that process. We have those as the main ones. Then we have Neptune. Neptune in Pisces retrograde. It just like recently went back in there, right? Let me see, I'm trying to look for the info here. Well, for some reason I can't find it, but that is the last part of the Neptune and Pisces phase that started back in like 2000, was it 2011 or 2000? It was quite a while ago. It was a long while ago. But that's finishing up the porous, energetic spill, if you will. Like Neptune and Pisces, that combo is so powerful that it can literally, you can unconsciously open yourself up to energetic influences that are not your own, depending on what house is in. Let's say you have that in your 12th house, then subconsciously there's things operating behind the scenes that you are completely unaware of, but affect you in some way through your body. But you don't know where it's coming from. If it's in the 8th house, then these things manifest as addictions. Actually, the 12th house can also manifest as addictions and vices and indulgences, but really it's more on a subconscious, and it is more of a, I mean, it's definitely a house where you can self-undo, but I think the 8th house, it's more of a heavy baggage because you are tied to your chains through the subconscious of the 12th, but they are heavier and they're more within the 3D in the 8th house. And it has effect on the things around you and your resources, because Scorpio is about merging. It's your inheritances. So it could be things that you inherited, things that you are actually receiving from people that are not of your own, but you are carrying it. You're taking it on. So the 8th house, I would say, has a deeper, more detrimental side to it, but it's more conscious of it. And so therefore it could be easier, but at the same time, it's the reason why it's easier is because you can't escape it and it's right in your face. 12th house, you can kind of escape it because it's not really in the front of your mind. And so therefore you could get lost in what's actually operating you. But there's pros and cons to both, basically, is what I'm saying. But that's just an explanation of Neptune and Pisces, of the houses that are probably more difficult to kind of navigate. If it's in the 4th house, I don't think it's as bad, honestly. Not to say that it's not difficult, but I don't think it would manifest in a negative way. And then we have Uranus at the last degrees of Taurus retrograde. So those two combined are also, you know, earth and water. They go well together, but they're both in signs that are, I don't know, Uranus is such an airy planet that Taurus definitely does not feel comfortable there. And it could spark some chaotic havoc. Something can break loose and have a hard time, you know, getting a handle of, you know, because Taurus is a slow mover. And so Uranus wants to move fast. Uranus wants to break out. But being in Taurus, it's very restrained. It's very constricted. It's been constricted for 7 years. And so whatever part of your chart you have Taurus in, whatever that house it's in, it's like, that's what you've been climbing an uphill battle. That's the house that you were literally climbing an uphill battle. And it's at the very end stage of that. So just to hang on, hang in there, you'll get through it. But those are like the main things. As far as the moon goes, let's see. So as far as the moon goes, this new moon is Scorpio. Well, it says on the 19th of November, but this is ruled by the Seven of Cups from the Tarot, Seven of Cups card. And it's emotional with the ruler of Pluto, like I was saying, the emotional death of something, and looking at the options in your life, whether it's in love, whether it is in business, whether it's in your life direction, whether it's in just any calling, anything that you feel called to. And it's fixed. It's another thing about Scorpio is that it is a fixed sign. So it is very stuck in its ways, right? It wants things to kind of stay the way that it prefers because Scorpio can be very controlling. It is known as a very controlling sign. I'm not trying to say that Scorpios in general are controlling, but they're very stubborn. They're very stubborn to their outlook on things and how they want certain things, right? Any fixed sign is. And so at the degree of the 28th degree, which I can actually look into the explanation of that after I read this, the opportunities here is embracing vulnerability and accepting responsibility. The goals, embracing sudden change and accepting limitations. A Scorpio new moon is nothing less than a powerful, possibly transformative catalyst for total evolution. So Scorpio's sacred symbol is the snake. It slithers through this lunation with extra potency as the Chinese year of the snake doubles down on the call for renewal. Because remember, we've been in the year of the snake, so there's been a lot of shedding of old skin and just transforming ourselves. This new moon energy tends to last for several months, taking us all the way into the first quarter of 2026. This lends us ample time to implement the kinds of shifts that we most desire. Because let's face it, Scorpio is the sign of pure, unfiltered, raw desire and passion. Well, yes, it's raw desire, but it's carnal, right? Some spiritual traditions demonize desire, whilst others offer a safe invitation to follow our desires in order to find our true purpose. So when they talk about desires, this is about traveling into your shadow. So let's say that maybe you're still in the throes of a shadow phase. That means you are embracing all of your carnal nature. It's like the dark goddess, right? That's the dark inner goddess, the dominatrix, where she wants to feel control, but she has much lust and desire, and she's very carnal, and she just wants what she wants. And so this is like the shadow thing that we're talking about, recognizing it and seeing it, but you go through that process and you start to not really like it anymore. When it gets too toxic, when it gets too dark, you realize that it needs to be purified, right? And that's what I'm talking about with the following it, because that's how you can purify it. The desire becomes sacred rather than something carnal or devoid of depth, because you learn something through that carnal nature, right? You then learn what needs to be purified. So it is a part of the phase. There's a thin line between superficial desire and devotional desire. This may be something to explore during this intensely rich period. While we don't always get what we want, we do get what we need. And when we align our will with that of the unseen, magic can happen. After all, Scorpio is the sign of the alchemist. This is our opportunity to transform lead into gold, to dig into our souls, discover our yearning, and manifest that into reality. And in doing so, we become master magicians, the high priestesses of our own destiny. So Oh, another thing to mention too is when the moon is in Scorpio, it is actually weakened a bit because there is something that Scorpio does not like to reveal things, right? It's the house of secrets. And when the moon goes there, it makes Scorpio kind of lose its defenses from protecting the secrets. And so that's why they say secrets can come out when moon is in Scorpio, because the defense system is being dismantled. And the only thing that you'd have to be aware of is obsessions, jealousies, suspicions. It could heighten all of these things. The lower vibrations of Scorpio sign is like all those things: suspicion, betrayal, jealousy, and obsession. So when we get caught up in those things, we need to go into the deeper parts of our being. We need to fall to the ground and see our shadow and our darkness. And then after doing so, we pick ourselves back up. It's only when we plunge into our own depths that we find the treasures, right? Like I was mentioning, you have to go into the depths of hell. That is the journey of Ophelius. I forgot his name. The journey into hell, the descent into hell, but it's also Persephone, right? Mercury is exactly conjunct this new moon. And with Uranus opposing it too. See, Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And that is having these sporadic, transformative, unpredictable changes within ourselves. The former lends the power of thought behind our actions. The latter brings liberation as we burst through stagnation, right? Stagnation in our old psychological wounds, our baggage, the hurts and betrayals we carry that keep us very small, right? Those things, all that baggage, all that energy that you just allow yourself to stay in, the density of it, that keeps you small, right? And you want to live your largest life. You want to be free. You want to be liberated. Who doesn't want to be liberated? Who doesn't want to expand and become the biggest part of themselves in a pure way so that they can really spread love, joy, and inspiration through the masses? If you are living small, you won't be able to make any effective change in the world, in other people's lives. You can't truly help other people if you keep yourself small, because you don't even recognize your own power. So this is why it's the time to recognize your own power. And the only way to do that is through intense feelings. You let yourself go into hell, okay? Feel all of those emotions around the lunation so you can fully surrender everything that you have been holding in. And that's the gift of scorpionic energy. Once something is released, whether it's a relationship that you're releasing, a path that you're releasing, a belief, a dream that you once had that you're releasing, or a behavior, the gift is that of complete transformation. And the Uranian influence promises that no matter what, change is coming. Even the best laid plans, even the ones that you thought were going to play through, are subject to swift and sudden changes, reminding us that to remain stuck is to sign a symbolic death warrant, and nobody wants that. While Scorpio lends the ability to carefully calculate and strategize, there's only so much we can do to control the outcome. The rest is about trusting that the path unfolding ahead of us is the very one our desires, our true desires, that our soul knows that we don't necessarily know, have led us to, consciously or not. And at the 29-degree Scorpio Sabian symbol, it says, an Indian woman pleading to the chief for the lives of her children. This is generational. Okay, this is about, that Sabian symbol reminds me of breaking generational curses, breaking generational karma. It makes me think of liberating yourself to save. the future generations to come.